What's going on, everyone? Today I'm going to go through my fitness journey, my timeline ranging from when I got into fitness all the way to the present day. I've done a number of sports now which I think people will find quite interesting, ranging from kind of like bodybuilding, physique shows, to modelling, to combat sports such as boxing, judo, a little bit of kickboxing, and all the way up to acting. So sit tight, I'm going to take you through the timeline of my life. If there's one thing I want people to take away from this video, it is not only to be motivated to go do fitness, but to try something new. Don't be afraid to try whatever you think you want to do, because we have one life that we know of, so you need to live it to the max. Growing up, I was always kind of into sport, but never particularly that good. I was always a very scrawny kid, and this went all the way up to my teenage years. Played a lot of football, tried a bit of rugby, was a bit scared of it. I used to be a very scared, timid kid, I'm not gonna lie. Like, although I loved playing outdoors and stuff, I was that kid that was scared to head the ball in football, if I'm completely honest. So for me, getting into the gym was kind of a way of gaining more confidence in myself. I guess I had a dad that worked out, played rugby. That kind of inspired me quite a bit as well. And to be completely honest, a lot of films I think had an impact on me. Disney's Hercules was always my favorite one as a kid. And I think just having that strong figure to look up to really did have an impact on me. So I got into the gym, I think I was like around 17. I think at the time I was watching a lot of Ziz content, if anyone remembers that. And yeah, the goal was just to not be skinny, basically. Then I went to university, and these were my party years. Now, I did keep going to the gym at this point, but it was so sporadic that I don't think I can even count it as I was a regular gym goer until like my third year of uni. So next up, we have my physique bodybuilding phase of life. This was when I was personal training, I think only for like a year or two, and then I got into the idea that I wanted to go do a physique show. My training was far more bodybuilding orientated than it is now. My eating was far more bodybuilding orientated than it is now. I remember the heaviest I got to back in, I think it was 2019, I was like 90 kilos, which for my frame I think is big-ish. Because then when I did my cut, I stripped all that body fat, and on the day of competing, I think I was like 72 kilos, which is very light for me. It went well. I did my first show, got gold, came first, got a pro card, so had I gone back, I could technically compete as a pro athlete. It's a stage in my life that I'm glad I did. I learned a lot of experiences which I could then relay onto clients. But I think, to be brutally honest, it wasn't necessarily the diet or the lifestyle that really ate away at me. During this period, I was suffering from body dysmorphia, and I think a lot of people that are into the whole bodybuilding scene suffer from it massively. It's just not that spoken about. But you know, for example, I'd be very paranoid if I looked small, or when I was the 90 kilo side, if I looked fat. I just really overthought everything, the way I looked, so much to the point where I think it was making me quite unhappy. Especially I did that show, realised that moving forward for what I wanted to do in my head, I would need to take steroids. I wasn't taking steroids at the time, and then I came to that crossroads, and I just decided, you know what, I don't care enough about this to actually warrant doing steroids. Up then getting into modelling. Now this was kind of not fully intentional. I always had it in my head that I actually wanted to go do acting, but the opportunity just arose to do some modelling. So, got into that. The plus side to that was that I didn't have this expectation in my head of having to be so like big all the time. Sure, you had to be like ripped or lean. Couldn't really let yourself get out of shape. But I didn't have the bodybuilding expectations in my head, which was a little bit of a relief. But in hindsight, again, as much as I enjoyed my brief stint in modelling, I really am not a big fan of like having to feel like you have to look a certain way, which I know might seem quite ironic to people, because I think on the outside people may perceive me as someone that really cares about the way I look, because I guess I'm always kind of athletic at least. But yeah, I don't like that pressure, and I think it doesn't even come from society, it comes from the pressure I put on myself. I know a lot of people criticise like society's expectations of the way women especially, but also men, should look, and I did it to myself. So I think although I really enjoyed modelling, and a lot of what I did ties into where I am today, again, I was glad to leave that. And also the fact that I was kind of more interested in acting anyway than I was in modeling. The whole point of why I wanted to get into acting was never to get famous or anything, or to get like a social media following. It was I really enjoy films, and I really enjoyed the idea of acting. So it was a detour, but on my fitness road obviously helped me massively. I did publishing for a fitness magazine. I did some television work, which actually helped me get essentially acting jobs later down the line, because I had a professional television credit. So I can't say it. Let's talk combat sports now. I've dabbled in a fair few combat sports. I did a tiny bit as a teenager, like a little bit of Muay Thai, a tiny bit of wrestling. But I think it was really post-bodybuilding that I started learning how to box, because I was quite interested in that. So I trained in boxing, and I've done it on and off now for a few years. And I think what I love about combat sports, and I'll go on to my further experiences momentarily, but what I love about combat sports, it cured my body dysmorphia. And I know that sounds like a very odd thing to say, and I don't believe that it has to be combat sports that can do this for you. I think there's a variety of sports that can do the exact same thing. But what it did for me was it taught me that it doesn't really matter how you look. That doesn't always affect how you're going to perform. And what I mean by that is, I had my ass handed to me so many times in boxing sparring by, people that you would deem like out of shape, or people that are 20 kilos lighter than you. The way you look doesn't directly correlate with how you perform. Now, obviously, people that do look super athletic, they're probably going to be more athletic than, say, someone that's not. But that being said, that doesn't automatically make you good at that sport, and this sport was fighting. And I think there is nothing more humbling than knowing that you could get your ass handed to you by anyone on the street. And it really opens your eyes to why you want to train for confrontations, but also why you want to avoid them. Now, the second epiphany with this was with judo, which I started years after all of this, after modeling as well. And judo, again, was the same epiphany of people manhandling me when I just assumed because I was quite muscular, slim, quick, that I would be great at it. That's not true at all, again. I quickly kind of fell in love with it as a sport itself, and started training for that. And a lot of my training now is based around combat sports itself, or just at least being more functional. And I personally think I feel a lot happier for it. I don't have this expectation in my head of how I look. There's far less weight on my shoulders. Sure, for judo competitions I have to make weight, but I'm not someone that really does these weight cuts, and especially because I do it at a low level anyway, there's not a lot of that going on unless they're like university teams. And I tend to hover around the weight I fight at anyway, which makes everything a lot easier for me because I'm not doing any bulking and cutting anymore. And I just really don't care that much about how I look in contrast to how much I used to care. Acting is really hard to get into. I'll tell you why this correlates to fitness now, because the kind of stuff I would really like to do one day would be action stuff. With the acting, I have to factor in how I look for roles. At the moment, I'm getting cast as 18-year-olds, even I'm 29, which I'll take as a compliment. But I just need to stay like a normal size. Do you know what I mean? I think it's far more beneficial. You land more roles if you just look like a normal person with clothes on. So yeah, everything I've learned has kind of brought me to this stage in my life where I've really learned to prioritize not just how you perform, but how you feel. I think that's such an important thing, and that's a message I'm always trying to get across to my clients, is that I've been the guy with shredded six-pack. It doesn't change your life that much. Sure, if you harness it the right way, you could maybe get more opportunities. But with that being said, if you're doing it for the idea that you're a guy and you're gonna get loads of girls or guys, if you really care about that, I don't think a lot of people care about that sort of stuff. It's very superficial. You might get their attention, but if you don't have the personality to keep it, what good is that anyway? And also now I'm a dad. Like, I don't care as much about how I look like I used to. And I've just learned that you have to prioritize your time, and there's far more important things in this world than having a six-pack. It's nice to have, but it's not essential. Hope you've enjoyed this very brief covering of my journey through fitness. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. I'm going to be making far more YouTube content moving forward now. I've just been slow getting it off the blocks because I've got kids, I'm trying to run a business, trying to pursue acting, competing in judo. I've got a lot going on basically, but now that's it. Let's do this.